Let me take a moment and talk about Riverside.fm. It allows you to record studio quality audio and up to 4K video. When you need to record audio and video, Riverside.fm can do it. So if you're looking for a hero platform for all your recording needs, from podcasts to webinars to any video content, Riverside.fm. I've got a promo code for you where you'll receive a 30% discount on the first 3 months of your subscription. I'll give it to you twice. The promo code is SHIPIT. All one word, SHIPIT, and you'll pick up a 30% discount on your first 3 months of your subscription. Riverside.fm.
In this episode of the Football History Headlines on the Best of the Pigskin Dispatch, we discuss a draft class by one team in 1974 that'll never be matched, as well as many more Hall of Fame birthdays and legendary stories, all coming up for you in just one moment.
This is the Pigskin Daily History Dispatch, a podcast that covers the anniversaries of American football events throughout history on a day-to-day basis. Your host, Darren Hayes, is podcasting from America's North Shore to bring you the memories of the gridiron, one day at a time. So as we come out of the tunnel of the Sports History Network, let's take the field and go no huddle through the portal of positive gridiron history with pigskindispatch.com.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
Hello, my football friends. This is Darren Hayes of pigskindispatch.com. Welcome once again to the Pig Pen, your portal to positive football history. And boy, do we have a great program for you today, because January 29th is so filled with football history. It's amazing, because we have deep into the playoffs. We're talking about some Hall of Fame announcements, the inaugural announcements, as a matter of fact. And we'll also have some great birthdays and events that happen on this day. So let's get you right to the news of the day. Okay, let's get to some football history headlines. January 29th, 1963, the first inductees into the Pro Football Hall of Fame were announced. The list is a phenomenal class of legends, according to the History and Headlines website. The first class enshrined held 11 superstar players from the professional gridiron past, such as Jim Thorpe, Red Grange, Sammy Baugh, Dutch Clark, Don Hudson, Mel Hine, Johnny McNally, Ernie Nevers, Bronco Nagurski, Cal Hubbard, and Pete Henry. Also inducted on that day were a handful of owners and coaches that included Curly Lambeau, George Marshall, Tim Mara, Burt Bell, and Joe Carr. Then another special man that got in as both a player, coach, and an owner, and George Halas. The article goes on to say that in 1963, there were only 2 rooms to show off the museum's wares, whereas in 2017, when that article was written, there were 5 buildings bulging with pigskin nostalgia. January 29th, 1964, NBC purchased the television rights of the AFL for 5 seasons from 65 through 69 for $36 million. The money raised in this deal helped the AFL fund recruiting players away from the NFL and field the rivalry, which eventually helped the AFL and NFL merger just a few years later. The two sides had to wait until the 1965 season to start, as ABC had 1 year remaining on this AFL contract to televise the 1964 season. January 29th, 1974. The 1974 NFL draft class, as the Dallas Cowboys took Ed Too Tall Jones from Tennessee State as the first pick in the draft. Players that have made the Pro Football Hall of Fame per the PFR are Lynn Swann, Jack Lambert, John Stallworth, and Mike Webster, who were in Pittsburgh's picks at 21, 46, 82, and 125th, respectively. Dave Casper, whom Oakland chose at 45, was another one that made it into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And yes, you heard it correctly. There were 5 Hall of Fame members from this draft class so far, and 4 of them were picked by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Is it any wonder why they had so much success in the mid to late 1970s? July 29, 1979, at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, the NFC outlasted the AFC squad in the NFL Pro Bowl 13-7. Vikings receiver Ahmad Rashad was awarded the Most Valuable Player honor for the game. January 29, 1984, at Aloha Stadium in Honolulu, at the NFL Pro Bowl for the 1983 season, it was once again the NFC who triumphed over their AFC counterparts in a big way. 45-3 was the score. The MVP of this game was quarterback Joe Theismann of the Washington Redskins. On January 29, 1989, we had yet another NFL Pro Bowl game at Aloha Stadium in Honolulu, and it seemed that the NFC squad just could not lose in these Pro Bowl games that were played on this day. Once again, the NFC defeated the AFC in a big way with a score of 34-3. The most valuable player was Randall Cunningham of the Philadelphia Eagles, who was a very mobile quarterback. Then we have a big one, January 29th, 1995, at Joe Roby Stadium in Miami, Florida. Super Bowl 29 was played, and it had the San Francisco 49ers beating up on the San Diego Chargers 49-26. The game's MVP was Niners quarterback Steve Young, who threw for 325 yards and, get this, 6 touchdowns in the game, and had a whopping quarterback rating of 134.8 for the ProFootballReference.com. Jerry Rice scored on 3 of those passes in the game. January 29th, 2002, the San Diego Chargers hired Marty Schottenheimer as their coach. Schottenheimer was the 13th head coach in the franchise's history, and he had previously coached both the Kansas City Chiefs and the Cleveland Browns. January 29th, 2012, the NFL Pro Bowl was played once again at Aloha Stadium in Honolulu. This time, the AFC outscored the NFC squad 59-41. The game's MVP was wide receiver Brandon Marshall, who during the season had played for the Miami Dolphins. January 29, 2017, Orlando, Florida, another NFL Pro Bowl, and the AFC knocked off the NFC 20-13. Dual MVPs of this game were KC's tight end Travis Kelce and Lorenzo Alexander, the fine linebacker of the Buffalo Bills. Now I'd like to give you this opportunity to hear from one of my SportsHistoryNetwork.com partners who has something great to tell you about. As we take a quick break from the headlines, let me remind you that you can also learn more about gridiron history on our website, PigskinDispatch.com. And you can contact me, Darren Hayes, at PigskinDispatch@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Speaking of hearing from someone, here is one of my podcasting partners from the SportsHistoryNetwork.com that has a message for you.
Hi, folks. Are you curious about some of the unique players, teams, games, and events of pro football's past? If you are, please check out my bi-weekly podcast, The Pigskin Past. I'm Joe Zagorski, a member of the Pro Football Writers of America and the Pro Football Researchers Association. I've written 3 books about pro football history, and I'm currently writing my 4th. Now, my era of expertise is the 1970s in the NFL. Heck, I even have a Facebook page by that title, and my very first book also has the same title, The NFL in the 1970s. But every now and then I check out a different era, so I might surprise you. Anyway, if you like pro football history, please check out my bi-weekly segment here called The Pigskin Past when you get a chance. I think you'll enjoy it.
That's definitely a podcast you don't want to miss, so make sure you check that out on SportsHistoryNetwork.com. Now let's talk about those birthdays of Hall of Famers. We'll start off on January 29th, 1896, Jackson, Mississippi. The quarterback of the Mississippi College, Edwin Hale, was born. Friends called him the GOAT, and according to the NFF website, there's a great story of why he had this name, and it's kind of entertaining. Hale got his nickname GOAT while still playing for Central High School in Jackson, Mississippi. In one game, he battered through the line and scored a touchdown, but kept on running, even past the end zone until his head hit a wooden building. And the impact that he made even loosened some of the planks that were on the building. In the 1921 season, Hale scored 23 touchdowns and dropped 23 extra points. 23 is a lucky number for him there. The National Football Foundation inducted Edwin Hale into their College Football Hall of Fame in 1963. Then we go to January 29th, 1927, to Nora, Pennsylvania. Arnold Gallifa, the one-time quarterback of the Army team, celebrated his birth. Arnold was an Army QB from 1946 through 1949, and during that time the cadets suffered only 2 losses. The National Football Foundation selected Arnold Gallifa and all of his college gridiron accolades for entry into the College Football Hall of Fame in 1983. After his service was over, Arnold played pro football with the New York Giants and the San Francisco 49ers, according to the NFF bio of him. January 29th, 1964, Allentown, Pennsylvania. Andre Reed, the burner receiver from Kutztown University, was born. Andre spent 16 seasons in the NFL after Buffalo picked him in the 4th round of the 1985 draft. Reed caught 951 balls for 13,191 98 yards and was a member of the Bills teams that made it to 4 Super Bowls straight in a row. And he was a favorite target of Jim Kelly. And for his career, he caught 88 TDs. Reed played in 7 Pro Bowls and had a tremendous knack of getting massive amounts of yardage after his catches. Andre Reed was voted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in the year 2014. January 29, 1968, the great defensive back from Southern University, Aeneas Williams, was born. Aeneas played in the NFL for 14 seasons after being the Arizona Cards' third-round draft pick in 1991. According to the ProFootballHOF.com, for his first 12 seasons, he manned the cornerback position and then moved to safety for his final 2 years. Williams played in 7 Pro Bowls and recorded 55 career interceptions with 807 yards returned off of them. One of his highlight moments occurred in a 2000 game against Washington when he returned a fumble 104 yards for a score. The Pro Football Hall of Fame enshrined Aeneas Williams in the year 2014. And once again, thank you for joining us today on these football history headlines for January 29th. Make sure you tune back tomorrow because we have some more exciting, great headlines, and we're going to go on right through the year. So don't worry about it. We will have the news for you. And we got some special things planned for you from February. We have a lot of guests coming on. They're going to talk some great football history. You don't want to miss it. And make sure you hit that subscribe button so you know as soon as we release. Go to your favorite podcast provider, look for us there, Pigskin Daily History Dispatch Podcast, and you'll find us. You'll see the emblem. It has the winking pig. You know you got the right place. Or go to the sportshistorynetwork.com where you have this podcast and many others on sports history, which I think you'll enjoy all of them because they are truly some talented gentlemen that I work with there. Or you can go to pigskindispatch.com. So until tomorrow, we'll see you then. Peeking up at the clock, the time's running down. We're going to go into victory formation, take a knee, and let this baby run out. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you back tomorrow for the next podcast. We invite you to check out our website, pigskindispatch.com, not only to see the daily football history, but to experience positive football with our many articles on the good people of the game, as well as our own football comic strip, Cleat Marks Comics. Pigskindispatch.com is also on social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and don't forget the Pigskin Dispatch YouTube channel to get all of your positive football news and history. Special thanks to the talents of Mike and Jean Monroe, as well as Jason Neff for letting us use their music during our podcast.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
It was just another ordinary day in the offices of the Pittsburgh Guardian newspaper circa 1924. But for Marla Delft, assistant editor, everything was about to change. For she was about to discover the awesome attractiveness of Row 1 brand retro sports paraphernalia items thanks to Orville Mulligan, sports writer.
And there it is.
Wow, Orville, that's really the bee's knees.
Isn't it just? A poster-sized replica of the actual 1909 World Series program cover.
I can see that. But where did you get it? And where'd you get it framed?
I ordered it from the Row 1 website, where over 6,000 items of sports memorabilia from the 1880s to the 1990s are available for reproduction in multiple sizes and in several different materials, with over a dozen styles of frame to choose from for prints like this.
Well, I'm sure Mr. Delft would love to put up more of these in the office. But I'm equally as sure they're beyond this newspaper's budget.
Not at all, my dear Marla. See for yourself. Go to sportshistorynetwork.com/row1.
sportshistorynetwork.com/row1. Oh my, these are good prices. Oh, and look at this stuff. Oklahoma-Nebraska football, college basketball art, Michael Jordan items.
And so it
retro
was that
sports
Marla Delft
advertisement
discovered the
classics.
splendiferous magic of Row 1 sports memorabilia, arts, and prints. You can too by visiting sportshistorynetwork.com/row1. That's ROW1 today for access to the full Row 1 catalog of gallery prints and gifts like t-shirts, long-sleeve shirts, telephone cases, coffee mugs, blankets, pillows, towels, and even shower curtains. Act today for 15% discount off all prints with coupon code SHN15 and 20% off all other items with coupon code SHN20 at check out. And keep your dial locked to the Sports History Network for the exciting chronicles of the 1920 sports world in Orville Mulligan, Sports Writer. Coming soon.
Are you having a hard time figuring out what to get Dad for Father's Day? You should check out Row 1 Brand's Vintage Pictorum Gallery. They have America's best sports art. With over 7,200 historic sports prints, you're assured to find something unique for Dad this Father's Day. Instead of a boring old tie, get him a historic baseball photo taken by Henry High Sandom at the historic Polo Grounds Stadium in New York City during the 1894 Temple Cup. Or, if he's an NFL buff, check out the 1963 vintage NFL poster. These are so good looking that you'll be amazed how they turn out. Shop now at sportshistorynetwork.com/row1 and save 15% off your order.